A near-fatal accident altered the course of this Navy SEAL's career and wreaked havoc in his life. But then a four-legged friend walked him out of the darkness and showed him the light. On today's Dogs of Destiny.
Eagle, Colorado is a small mountain town up here in northern Colorado in ski country. It's about 6,600 people and it's at about 6,600 feet, so that's easy to remember. I actually grew up in Monroe, Wisconsin. Right after high school, I was accepted into the Naval Academy and went right into Annapolis, July 1st of 1997. I was being groomed to be commissioned as an officer in the Navy. Out of a class of a little over 900 at the time, they had 16 spots to go into the SEAL program. A little under 20% actually get their SEAL pin and become a SEAL. And it's definitely a gut check for sure. May of 2003, I got my SEAL pin and was selected as an officer in the SEAL teams. When I got my Trident, I was selected to go to SEAL Delivery Vehicle Team 1 out in Hawaii.
We flew out to Hawaii. I remember the smell getting off that airplane, and it was so beautiful, and we had arrived in paradise.
Being an officer in the SEAL team is an incredible privilege. You work with arguably the most phenomenal human beings on this planet. They come with a lot of baggage, like all of us do, but those guys that you have the privilege to lead and to be in charge of and to take care of are very, very special.
We were there for 4 months when my husband was doing a live fire training drill.
It's arguably one of the more dangerous things that we do in the SEAL community. You're shooting and moving in a controlled, chaotic fashion, and I was accidentally shot in the chest by one of my teammates. Changed the trajectory of my life forever. I remember waking up on the ground, gasping for air with no use of my right arm. My teammates immediately started the medevac protocol.
When the doctor opened up his chest and got in, he realized that the blast had actually blasted out his upper right cavity of his right chest.
And subsequently, I went through 50 units of blood in the operating room. I almost died 3 times on the table. And
when the doctor finally did come out to meet me, he said, if you have friends and family that want to see your husband alive, they need to be on the next flight to Hawaii. And the doctor said, we've done what we can. If the bleeding doesn't stop on its own, there's not much we can do.
At about the 2-week point was when they finally said, okay, he's probably gonna make it now.
I remember him taking a pen and pencil, and he couldn't see because he was back. And he wrote, I love you. And then after that, he wrote, I will not die. And that just is a testimony to Andy's never quit attitude.
I felt really bad for Mike, the one that shot me, because there are worse things than death. And that was one of them. Arguably, Mike was my best friend in the platoon. We were SEAL brothers, and he made a big mistake that day, and he had to live with that.
There were a bunch of divine interventions in this, one being that Mark Luttrell, our corpsman, did such a good job taking care of Andy. He was a gift from God for sure, because he undoubtedly saved his life.
As far as Navy work, I wasn't doing a whole lot. I was told your job is to get better, and so that's what I did. As I was in the thralls of all my recovery and rehab and whatnot, Obviously, my platoon kept training and kept getting ready to deploy. In April of 2005, my platoon ended up deploying overseas. Operation Red Wings was enacted to confirm a Taliban target was in the area of the Hindu Kush. A four-man SEAL team was inserted to do this operation. While those 4 men were on the ground observing the target, they were compromised by a group of friendly goat herders from that village, which led to an extraordinarily difficult decision to make. If you detain them and keep them in the area, all their goats and their absence in the village is going to indicate that something happened, alerting the Taliban. If you let them go, you stand a high probability that they are sympathetic to the Taliban and they're going to give away your position. The decision was made to let them go. Or an hour after they let them go, they were ambushed by a superior number of Taliban fighters. Matt Axelson, Danny Dietz, and Mike Murphy were all killed on the ground. Marcus Luttrell, the corpsman that saved me, was the only one that survived. He wrote a book and a subsequent movie, Lone Survivor, which outlines the events that transpired that day. When I got shot, I was very angry, very bitter. Why me, God? And that same question flipped on itself after June 28th. Why me, God? Why am I still here?
It did seem like, why was he spared? And I do believe that question definitely does play into that survivor's guilt that he had. There was a high probability that he would have been one of those guys on the ground and probably wouldn't come home.
I probably started my mental health struggles back in 2006, 2007.
I think life slowed down enough for him to process all the friends he had lost, how many funerals we had been to. And it was interesting how in that time, it was almost like all these dark things started to creep in for him.
Our marriage was falling apart. Would fly off the handle at really minuscule stuff.
I felt like we were kind of walking on eggshells, sadly.
I reached out to some talk therapy professionals within the Navy, and I knew that Marcus had a service animal from Southeastern Guide Dogs named Rigby, and had really helped him in some of his struggles. So I reached out to him one day. I'm seriously thinking about getting a service animal. He put the wheels in motion. That is ultimately what led Thompson into our lives. Thompson's personality is nothing but unfiltered love. If you're just petting her, looking into that dark brown eye soul of hers is able to calm you down no matter what, in whatever state you are.
So we call her our princess.
She'd much rather be hanging out in a Hilton motel than in our camper any day of the week. On the clock, she's in work mode, but when she's off the clock and she's given free rein to just love on anybody, honestly, I think that's where she excels the most. Being able to be her, just being natural Thompson and spreading that love to everybody that she comes in contact with.
I feel like she brings out a different joy and happiness in him because she gives him unconditional love. That's a beautiful thing that an animal can give a human that humans sometimes can't give other humans.
Initially was very standoffish regarding getting a service dog. Honestly, thinking that I didn't deserve it, that someone else deserved one more. And I want to tell any of my brothers and sisters out there that are probably thinking the same thing, that it's okay to take care of you. Swallow that pride and take a gift you have earned in a very different way.
Now Now is the time to remember there are two of us facing our fate. And though you've been tried by the burdens you bear, I'm here to carry the weight. You can count on me. You can count on me. Ready and willing whenever you need. I'll gladly follow or I'll take the lead. Count on me.
View every episode of Dogs of Destiny at guidedogs.org/dogsofdestiny.